All right, Kyle, before we dive into this incredible game between the Avalanche and the Panthers, guess what I saw yesterday? The new Ghostbusters movie.
Ooh.
I give it 2 huge thumbs up, being a huge, longtime Ghostbusters fan. But who was the best character?
His granddaughter.
She was great. She probably was the best. But Podcast. I mean, when you have a character called Podcast, how can you not love it? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Joining us, I want to say via satellite or on the road.
In a remote location via satellite.
A remote location which we will not disclose. But yeah, he's here and a little bit later than normal. Kind of some like fluky things going on, which prevented us from recording last night. But we're better late than never, I guess, especially talking about this game because wow, that was incredible. But before we get into that Avalanche Panthers game, first things first, follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. So questions, comments, concerns, opinions, go to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow the show's YouTube channel over on YouTube. And thank you for making this your first listen of the day. As always, it is greatly appreciated. So, yeah, I know on my end, your video is frozen. I don't know if that's there. You go. You just popped out of it. We're kind of like doing this on the fly. And if the video aspect of things is not the best for today, apologies, but we'll be back to normal in a day or so. But
yeah,
if you're listening on the audio end, should have no issues. All right, man. What a game between the Avs and the Panthers. I was looking forward to this not only because it was the Avs' chance at redemption from the first time that they played them, which was very early in the season in Florida. Florida started hot. They've remained hot. In our power rankings on Locked On, they're number one. They have been for a few weeks. They've always been number one, number two after the first week when the Lightning and the Avalanche were number one and number two. Since that's gone away, Panthers have been up there, and it's no shock. They're a very, very good team. You saw it last night. So I was looking forward to that they got to did a reboot. Now it's a little bit later in the season, and they showed up. Both teams did. This was a knockout, and no pun intended there. We'll get to the Jacob MacDonald thing. But this was a classic, just NHL speed, hits all over the place. Goaltending was phenomenal. Thoughts on the game overall?
It was an incredible game, especially with where both teams are right now in the rankings, how they score. I mean, these are your number one, number two teams when it comes to scoring. Both goalies that are kind of like between Kemper and Bobrovsky, like you don't know what you're getting on any given night. And EJ's a good backup goalie, apparently. But injuries plagued both teams. So, and it's all of this wrapped up in like everybody likes to point back to this is a rematch of the Stanley Cup. Like these two teams have history. So it was an incredible game from beginning to end. And we talk about it all the time, measuring stick games. This was a measuring stick game for the Avalanche. And they not only won the game, but they had the lead, gave it up, and found a way to win. Yeah. And it's all those things the Avalanche proved in this game that we have been kind of worried about all year. They proved it in a commanding way.
Yeah, and I said on Twitter, like, this is a statement win in the fact that, yeah, the team, you've been beating up on some lesser teams. You know what I mean? You're scoring 5, 6, 7 goals in those teams. Good. That's what you should be doing. And even we were looking forward to their game against the New York Rangers because that was their biggest test since the failed test against Toronto. And what happened? Like the Rangers have an injury to Igor Shesterkin. They played a back-to-back, so Georgiev played the first game, and you got a rookie goalie going in his first game ever. Okay, so there's a little people are still maybe like have their arms folded, like, well, yeah, you did score 7 on them, but it was against that type of goalie. Okay, fine. So you still haven't had that game like this. And if and I'm not hearing this, but Panthers fans want to say like, oh, Barkov or not, yeah, Barkov wasn't right. He wasn't in.
Nope.
So, okay, well, you didn't have him. We didn't have Kadri and Landeskog.
Exactly.
That's big. So it's kind of equal. It was really an equal game and an evenly fought game from what was on the ice, what wasn't on the ice because of injuries. And yeah, like the way that it went down, the Avs, that first goal, which by the way, all goals scored by Burakovsky, first ever hat trick. Good for him. But the first goal, you were like, man, like that, you needed that.
Yeah.
Because if it went the other way, if it was Florida and you just, the Avs were now playing catch up again, who knows how this would have went. But you got the first one, you got the second one, and now you're feeling pretty good because Kemper's playing very well. But this is what you're going to get when you have two good teams on. It's not over yet. The Panthers pulled even. And it's not like it's not. I had a different reaction to that than if it was like if they were playing like the Coyotes. Like if you give up a 2-goal lead against the Coyotes, you're like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But when you're playing a good team, they will fight back, and they did.
And it was that scoreless first period. You are kind of like on pins and needles when it comes to that first intermission. You don't know what you're going to expect, how they're going to come out. And when we went up 1-0, you started to feel a little bit better. And then 2-0, you felt incredible.
Yeah.
And then you're telling yourself, like, I know it's Bob in goal and he's not their greatest, but then you go back to like a seasoned Avs fan. You're like, can we hold on to this?
Yes.
And then the Avalanche allow them to tie it up. And then it gets physical. And then it's two things the Avalanche are not known for all year is that physical type of game and holding on and keeping a lead. And the way they responded from everyone from like Sam Girard, like following through on their checks and like being physical in a smart way.
Yeah.
And then with Berkey hitting that game-winning goal for that hat trick, his first career hat trick, where scoring has been earlier in the year, it's been an issue for him. He's now starting to get hot. You're getting contributions from Burakovsky now. So this is like another positive thing. And like everything you saw in this game and how they ended it and Mikko coming to start another fight, this team's fired up and they believe in what they're doing.
And I think I read somewhere that McKinnon was doing like one-timers an opening skate with Burakovsky. So kind of like I think doing one of those things they did again, like shoot the puck.
Yeah.
Because this is, we talk about it a lot. He is so streaky. And right now we have obviously Burakovsky, who is on a hot streak right now.
Yep.
It's going to end at some point, but how long does it end for? You can't have these Burakovsky goes missing for weeks at a time, because look at what he can do. He's such a good goal scorer, but it ebbs and flows with him for some reason. When Maltsev took that penalty, which led to Florida's first goal, even when he took the penalty, I was like, this could be where the game changes, because that's, again, going back to Florida being a good team. That's what they do. They take advantage of opportunities. They needed to have that one. And yeah, Maltsev kind of, I think it was Mosier who said, like, this is going to be the longest 2 minutes of his life, because that's not a penalty you want to take right there. You don't want to do that. And it was a penalty. But you can't do that at that point in time. And what did they do? I think that's one that Thornton scored on.
Yeah.
And then they get another one. But I overall, you have to be happy about everything that went on in this game from an Avalanche standpoint, because like you said, I mean, how many times have we seen where at the end the Avs give up? Like third periods have been kind of like their demise lately. And then they give Mikko Rantanen gets that penalty, which he can't do that either. I mean, and that was a penalty. That was a cross check. And now they're up 6-4 after pulling the goalie. And I mean, you're thinking like this is going to have to be the best minute and a half of their season, and they gave him opportunities. But Eric Johnson on the doorstep, just right place, right time. That puck was going in because Kemper was out pretty far. That puck was heading in, and he not only, you know, he didn't he cleared it into Kemper's legs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he just tried to whack it out. He put it back into Kemper's legs to ice the puck. But man, Johnny on the spot with that play right there.
And it kind of couples with what you were talking about with Nate and Berkey, like taking like that extra practice and working on one-timers like solo together. This team's another point we've talked about all year is cohesion and starting to believe in themselves. You saw that in that killing off that last power play at the end of the game. When those juicy rebounds would bounce off Kemper, you'd see Gerard and EJ collapse on Kemper. Like, everybody was like, they sold out for that win. Like, it was not when they got beat or there was something there, they didn't panic and freak out. They all gave up their, like, EJ took a great block off a skate.
Yeah.
Like, it's giving theirself up for that win. Those are those little things that you can't track on a score sheet, but it speaks volumes to where this team is at, contrary to the first time we played for.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's hear from DirecTV Stream, and then we'll continue because we'll definitely get to the Jacob MacDonald hit, and then I noticed something different about a specific player, so we'll kind of talk about that. But first, DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, and you're watching the sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for all the other good stuff. I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment that you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part is there is no annual contract. So get your butter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. Once again, that is directv.com to TV Stream. Compatible devices required, and content varies by package. So the Avalanche, they didn't have Kadri, they didn't have Landeskog, but listen to the time on ice for a couple other guys. Curtis McDermott played his usual 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Jacob MacDonald only played 3 minutes and 25 seconds until he got hit and he was out. And then you had Maltsev only play 6 minutes and 44 seconds. So that's basically you're down three other guys that you're not playing that much, and down Kadri and down Landeskog, and you still played that well. So you kind of have to really feel good about it when you get those two guys back. Go ahead.
No, and hearing those minutes right there, it speaks a lot to that narrative that is often thrown around when the injury conversation comes up, where it's like the easy thing that everybody's like, well, we got to do something about that strength and conditioning coach. Never met this strength and conditioning coach, and I don't know why he's responsible for all the injuries, but like, we are at a point now that we have three players taking less than 5 minutes of ice time. Those minutes have to be made up by somebody. And you couldn't tell that this was a tired and overworked and double shifted team in that penalty kill at the end of the game. Like, they were still pushing with everything they had. So that speaks volumes to this team's conditioning as well.
Well, Sam Girard did just shy of 24 minutes. Cale Makar did just over 24 minutes. And Devon Taves did over 29 minutes.
Wow.
There's where it's spread out. On the defensive end, anyway. On the forward side, it's pretty even. The Nathan MacKinnon had 21 minutes. And that was the most. Nobody else had. Rantanen was just shy of 20. But everybody else was in the mid-teens. So it was kind of spread around on the forward end. But I wanted to talk about Nathan MacKinnon because I saw a different Nathan MacKinnon last night. He was there were so many opportunities where he would take that shot under normal circumstances, and he would give the extra pass. He's still his fast self, but he seemed more controlled yesterday. He wasn't flying through the zone and then someone just gets a stick on the puck and then it gets poked away. He was calculated yesterday. And that's kind of what I've been wanting to see from him. Like you don't have to be speed demon to show off your speed to get around these guys. It hasn't been working. So he was, did you notice it at all? Because I did, that he was more in tune with where his players were. Not that he's not ever like that, but man, like it was not the typical Nathan MacKinnon. I'm just going to be a bull in a china shop and just go full bore 200 feet.
Yeah, I was noticing that as well. And what it reminded me of was last year when Gabe, I think he either sprained his foot or broke it. And it was about the same time he had his second child and he was out for a couple days. And like Nathan MacKinnon, like you could see the visible shift in his leadership and his style of play during that time. And it was evident last night, like he ascended to that role. Like he's always like the kind of like the co-captain, like,
yeah, sure.
And this is like he knows he's got to make up for Landeskog's lack. He's not there, so he can't be the vocal leader that he always is. So he shifted his game in ways that he's been toying with earlier. Like you don't see the goal production, but you can see him facilitating. And like in that Florida game, you saw him facilitating and making smart plays and being very unselfish, which is a new Nathan MacKinnon thing, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, there were times where he would get ahead of steam, and then I think in the past he would just continue that.
Yeah,
I'm already full throttle. I'm just going to go until they stop me. And there were times where he'd get on that horse, and then I think read the defense and be like, all right, this is where they are. Let me do something, and he would pull up.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with that because you have more options to facilitate. You have your other players kind of coming through the back end. And it was nice to see because there were opportunities there, but maybe to the detriment because there was one where he was right in the slot and he passed it, which he never does. So I don't know what's going on, if there's conversations behind the scene going on with him and Bednar, or this is just something that he's doing on his own. But that specifically, I think it was to Jost or Comfer. I can't remember which one it was, or maybe I might be wrong on all that. And he was right. He was 2 feet away from him to his left, and he's in the slot, and he passed it to him.
Yeah.
That was like, man, this is a different Nathan MacKinnon right now. But that's not to say that he didn't get his shots on net, because he absolutely did. But I just thought it was a more like composed, calm, cool, collected, and like all encompassing Nathan MacKinnon last night, rather than just a one-track mind of I'm going to go.
And I honestly, I noticed this in the Flyers game last week. It's Nathan MacKinnon. He's going to draw the attention of a defense. So I feel like he's shifting this mentality, because it's almost like in football, if a wide receiver is going to end up getting a lot of points, they double team. Yeah. And then you get them with the tight end or your second receiver, you do your check down. And I feel like Nathan MacKinnon's kind of adopted that mindset. Like, I'm getting the attention when it comes to the defense. Like, everybody's going to be pulling and they're going to be on me. So if there's somebody skating towards me and I'm getting double teamed, somebody's open. So he's got that facilitating mindset. And yeah, it's to a detriment, but he knows in the long run, over the course of a game, that he's opening up more scoring opportunities than he can by himself.
Right. Yeah, it was nice to see. And that's not, like you said, that's not to say he's ever going to slow down, because he still was doing that. If he saw an opportunity, he was going to take it. But it was noticeable to me. I don't know. So I'm glad it was to you too. All right. Let's hear from Built Bar and Bet Online, and then we will discuss the Jacob MacDonald hit. So, Built Bar, this holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar, it's Built Bar. Filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, yet high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. Built Bar gives you that extra fuel that you need to bust down those mall doors and battle the holiday shoppers, or if you're standing in endless shopping lines. Built Bar can give you that extra something to keep you going. So throw it in your jacket or purse. You never know when you're going to need it. And you can go to builtbar.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off of your order. Once again, that promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at builtbar.com. Also, betonline.ag has you covered for all these season's bets with prop bets, odds, and more lines than ever before as the football season continues to march towards the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to our new updated desktop and mobile websites and sign up today to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive the bonus. From basketball, football, the NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports, and it's where the game starts. That's betonline.ag. So another hit to an Avalanche player. This one on Jacob MacDonald, and this was a scary one because you could see that he was out cold before he even hit the ice. It had to be stretchered off. All reports are that he is moving around, moving all of his limbs. And I think long run he's going to be okay. But, here we are again with another hit that by the letter of the NHL rules was a clean hit. And I fall under that camp. Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, he didn't leave his feet. He didn't hit his head. He went through his body. But this is the question that is going to be asked of the NHL. Like, do those hits need to even be in the game because of safety reasons? And you don't want to see guys getting stretchered off. So your take on the hit, and then your take on what can the NHL do about this?
The hit, it got me thinking because it was almost as bad as Nathan MacKinnon's, except there was no follow through embellishment like Trouba did. But I'm wondering if this is a byproduct because earlier in the year we were talking about puck control and how bad the passes look. And I wonder if this new head down mentality is on that focus of keeping the puck controlled, and it puts them in very compromising positions for when these hits come in.
Right.
Because I was after that hit, that's what I focused on watching, and you could see a lot of that. Like they're very focused on getting clean control of the puck and making clean passes, which takes their eyes away from where they should be.
Right.
It was a clean hit. It's one of those that honestly, if you run it through a simulation 99 out of 100 times, I don't know if that's the same reaction that you get out of it. But it was just I hope we get to see MacDonald come back quickly from this and everything's all right. But it was scary, yes. How the NHL can control that from here, it's difficult because then if you have in the players' minds to check up or hold up, does that alter the game in any way? Does that do we end up penalizing defenders and how they play because they're having to check up on these hits so they're not getting penalized or scrutinized, and then it alters how we perceive them, like their hustle, their effort? Does it hurt them in the long run when a contract comes up because we point these moments out when they're just trying to not get suspended? So it's a weird balance, and there's a lot of weird things that you have to correct here because you don't want to turn into the NFL where you can't hit a quarterback at all and it alters the game severely. You don't want that approaching in the NHL.
That's a good point because look what it's doing in the NFL. Quarterbacks can just do what they know that they can do, pick defenses apart. And if they get touched, it's going to be a penalty. So that does affect the game. Defenders don't want to take that penalty. They'll pull up maybe. And yeah, what do you do? How do you tell a guy, you have to do one of two things or one of three things. One is, which is nothing, just keep it as is. And then you have to deal with these hits that come in. It's not going to be all the time, but we've seen 3 of them in the past week, 2 of them, which include the Avalanche. So you tell a guy that, and you can't, and this is what I was talking about last week. You can't tell someone only go 50%, only hit him 50%.
Yeah.
Because your 50% is different than my 50%. And how do you control that? So that's impossible. Or you eliminate it altogether, and then you are going to see scoring go through the roof because guys like Nathan MacKinnon and Connor McDavid and all the scorers in the world know that they can't be touched.
Mm-hmm.
And they will fly in and out of the zone. And maybe from a viewership standpoint, for people who like to see goals scored, maybe that's a plus. But people who like hard hitting, not illegal, hard hitting, like good playing hockey, the old schoolers, I guess, like they're going to tune out because you've eliminated a big part of the game. So I don't know how you police it. And there's no right answer because you're going to be alienating one camp no matter what you do.
And if you honestly, because if you go back and look at like 90s and early 2000s hockey, this was happening all the time and the injuries were much more significant. I feel like we kind of got spoiled to this new hockey, and a lot of that physical play from the 90s, 2000s up until like 2010, maybe even 2013. Like that was the physical play you expected 2-3 times a night for your team, like hits like that.
Yeah.
It's been toned down a lot, and it's to the point now where the injuries aren't significant yet. Like it's knocked out for a game, but it's not a long injury history from these hits. So I don't know if it's just time and place. Like we're not used to this, like these reactions out of the physical play because so much of this has been cleaned up and the speed has overtaken like the goonery that we're used to. We'll have to see if this is a new growing trend. This is something the NHL is eventually going to have to address, but like it's manageable, if that's even a way to describe it right now, because nobody's significantly getting hurt and it's more sporadic, but it feels like it's a common thing because this is twice for the Avalanche. So like if you ask a Vegas fan, like I don't think they've had anything like this. Like, so it's not relevant to them. Like you got to look at it on a broader spectrum.
Right.
But the NHL, that's how they're looking at it. That's why I'm posing it this way, because the NHL is like, well, this is an Avalanche problem. Like you guys just pick your head up and clean it up a little bit. Like for the league to get involved, things are going to have to get a little bit worse and a little bit more widespread.
Right. And being an Avalanche fan, it's because it's happened twice over the course of a week. It's going to get blown up more in Avalanche circles. Does it take away from the fact that we should be talking about it? I mean, yeah,
no.
Right. You still need to talk about it because a dude was stretchered off.
Yeah.
That's not good. That is a bad look, no matter what the sport is. So is it just like you're saying, because it's not so, thousands of games are played, how many are going to have that happen are small, but you still want to address those that are small because you don't want that to happen at all. Because, I look at things differently now, having like 2 kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Jacob MacDonald has kids. Maybe I don't know if he does, but that's where I look at things now. Like that dude's got a family and they are on pins and needles right now, wondering like what his health is in the moment and long term.
Yeah.
So I think of things more just what's going on the ice. So it's a scary thing. And because does the league need to police it? I don't know. Like, I don't know how you're going to do that. But it needs to get talked about. And I don't know if it's just a respect thing. Like, I mean, these are the guys that, you're employed with basically across the league. And should there be more respect on the end from the guy laying the hit, even though he doesn't wear the same colors as you, but this is a human being that I am about to level.
Yeah.
Let's put things in perspective here. There's ways you can go about it to remove him from the play than for the end result to be him stretchered out. And I will always believe that there's many ways. There's different ways that hit could have happened. Yes. Because it wasn't like, I mean, that was on the defensive end.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was, in front of the net and you're leveling him because you wanted to prevent a goal. This is you're just, trying to prevent a pass in deep in their own zone.
And see, the weird thing is, like, we get to see Nathan MacKinnon come back from a crazy hit that's like, it's startling to see. MacDonald just getting knocked out. You don't know what's going on with that. And then Ryan Murray be out months just taking one shift on the ice with a back issue or a hip issue. And then you see Pavel Francouz just make one move, and that's what sidelines them for months.
Yeah.
But these hits, they're bad to look at, but not in the long term.
Yeah.
So it's the weirdness of the game of hockey that I just we've come a long way from players in the 70s and 80s putting foil on their fingers and plaster Paris their gloves and filing their sticks and getting into fights.
Look at what happened. Jack Johnson leaves because he got a puck to the face where he's got stitches. He looks like the Joker.
Yeah.
With the the stitches coming out of the corner of his mouth. And then later in the game, when there's a scrum, I don't know who it was, face washes Jack Johnson right on his stitches.
Yep.
That's bad too. Come on. So, I mean, I'm watching that and I'm like, oh, don't do that. Oh my God. But that for again, the old schoolers, they love that stuff. That is that's taking it to the next level. That was, to me, that both of those things were equally tough to watch. You don't want to see someone get leveled, and just knowing what stitches feel like and having them get rubbed by a hockey mitt. That gave me, it made me queasy inside.
Or you could have Brad Marchand just come up and lick you.
Or that, which is probably the worst of all of them. All right, but good start to the week for the Avs, and it's going to be a good. So they got the Rangers this week, right?
Yes.
Let me see.
The Predators on Thursday, I think.
The Predators on Thursday, and then the Lightning on Saturday. So pretty, and the only away game is the Predators one. So obviously, because the Ranger game was in New York, so that's at home, on the road in Nashville, and then home for the Lightning. So should be a pretty good week for the Avs in terms of statement games. You got them across the board this week.
Naturally, I move north and the Avalanche go south.
All right. Well, that is going to be it. Great game. Awesome game.
Incredible.
And I even said I would take 7 games of that in the Stanley Cup Final easily.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
All right. That'll be it for today, and we will be back tomorrow. Will you be in your final landing spot by then, or not sure yet?
I think I got one more night here and permanent landing spots throughout the week.
All right. Awesome. So that will be it, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Check out Locked On NHL. Make that your second listen of the day. Get caught up on all the news and action around the league. He is Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. You know me, Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we will see you guys tomorrow.